Hello and welcome to the Gearwire Synth Lab. My name is Dan Augusto and we're taking a look at the Moog Little Phatty. And this thing, while small in size, has some big sounds. So let's take a listen. This is set to a preset. This is preset 0. It's called Thank You, Bob. So, pretty classic Moog sound. We'll go over the topography of how everything is edited in a bit, but let's take a listen to a few more of these presets. Let's try the next one. This one's called Nasty Fun K. Okay, so on this one, let's get into a little bit of how you'd program this. First thing you hear, that there's a really sort of slow, sluggish glide on the note. If you want to do fast octave sweeps there, we're going to have to turn that up. The way we do that is we locate the glide rate. Well, first of all, we can turn glide on and off using this button. So now everything's jumping. But to change the glide rate, we see that this button's lit up. And this is the glide rate button. And that means that this encoder up here, this knob, is set to control the glide rate. So if we want a really slow glide, we could turn that up. Or we can turn it almost all the way down. That's sort of what I'm looking for. Okay, so now what we've done here is we've changed a setting. So we can see that this light is now, instead of being blue, it is pink. And that means that whatever we have on the panel is the active controls for now. So let's get in here a little bit deeper and change a few other things, and I can show you how you can go back and forth between presets and what's actually set up on your panel. So first thing, let's hit the filter section. And what I want to change is the cutoff frequency. So we got a nice fat filter sweep going on here. Right there. And then to start controlling the resonance, I hit that. Now I can sweep this filter. A bunch of resonance. You can also tell that this is slightly distorted sound. There's an overload setting on here. And this, I think, is the money setting on here. Right now, that's set to about a little over 1 o'clock. If I start to turn that up, we're going to get a bit nastier. You can also turn it down, clean up the sound a bit, and also lose some volume. Turn it up, and it gets more saturated. Definitely. A big part of that Moog sound is the overload. Some other things we can change on here that will get us dramatic changes, of course, are our LFO settings. Right now, we're set to a square wave, and this LED over here sort of blinks at the rate. If I were to change the rate, we could see it stops, or it goes slower. We turn it up. It gets faster to where it looks like it's on all the time. Not sure if the camera will pick that up just because of frame sync rates, but it's set to a square wave right now, and it's set to affect the pitch. So the mod wheel on here is always set to control the amount of, or the actual amplitude of the LFO, how much the LFO is affecting its destination. So let's take a listen to how that sounds. Okay, let's try a different waveform on the LFO. So we got a sawtooth ramp down, sawtooth ramp up. We can also set it to a triangle wave. More of a classic vibrato sound. We can start to get some FM modulation going on, some actual frequency modulation. We can also set our LFO to be the same as the filter envelope, which we will actually control down here. So we can set an attack for here. Let's set it sort of on the fast side. Decay, we'll make it quick so that it's a bit more dramatic. Sustain, bring up, and release we'll leave about halfway up. We can also affect these. So that's with a slow attack on it. Now with sustain we're actually setting the destination frequency. So that's an interesting sound. We can also set it to oscillator 2. So we're going to get more frequency modulation type things. To control oscillator 2, we need to go over here. We can control the frequency, the octave. We'll set the octave low since we're using it as a LFO or low frequency oscillator. I'm going to actually set it to the filter. Get the amount further up. And what we can start doing is changing the waveform to square wave. You can also lower the frequency. You can start to hear that. So with oscillator 2 acting as your LFO, there are a lot of different interesting sounds you get. We can turn up to a really high frequency. Start getting that sort of ring modulation sort of sound. We set it to sync. That means that oscillator 2 is automatically set to sync, be in sync with oscillator 1, at least pitch-wise. So at this sort of difference between our wave that is actually making the sound and our wave that's acting as an LFO, this is sort of an interesting mix that we can get. Okay, let's check out just more of just the sound of the pure oscillators. I'm going to set us back to an LFO with a triangle wave, and actually I'll just turn off the LFO. And let's get in here. I'll turn down oscillator 1, so we'll just be hearing oscillator 2. And see what kind of wave we're working with. So we can switch continuously between triangle wave to sawtooth to square wave, and then finally at the end there's pulse width wave. So let's see how that sounds. So we're actually hearing a little bit of pitch wobble there, which is to be expected with an analog synth. So when we're up here, we hear more overtones. Maybe if I open up the filter a bit, we'll be able to hear that better. There we go. That's sort of almost like an 8-bit pulse width subtone. Here's our square wave, here's our sawtooth, and there's our triangle wave. All right, let's also just check out the volume envelope really quick, or just the entire envelope section. So, as with just about any synth, we can increase the attack time to get more of a swell into the note. And we can hear we have sort of a decay into a lower volume, so it kind of gives you that attack and then pulls back a little bit. We can shorten that time or increase it. Pull back a little bit. Sustain is set about halfway up. If we turn this up, we'll hear more of a swell into it. I'll turn that attack back all the way up. And then we can also add some tail on there with the release. Sustain a little bit as well. All right. So let's get into the filter envelope. You can control how much the filter affects, or the envelope affects the filter using the envelope generator amount. So this is barely affecting it, or actually negatively affecting it. This is not affecting it at all. and here we have it positively affecting it. So there's positive, there's negative. So if we go in here, we start to mess with these settings, we start to get some dramatic filter sweeps, especially if we turn up the resonance a little bit. Filter sweep sounds pretty good. There's a little bit of zippering, and that's probably has to do with the resolution of the digital voltage is controlling the cutoff frequency. If we turn up the envelope release, the volume envelope, we'll be able to hear when we let go of a note, the release time on the filter envelope will change the sound a bit. There we go. So those are the basic sort of controls we have on here. And now we've gotten really far away from what our preset was. But if we want to go back, we can just press the preset button. It goes right back to our preset. Press it again. It goes back to where we were set on our panel. So those are basic sounds we can get out of the Little Phatty. There's some. It's a mono synth, and it only outputs mono. You can also put in an audio signal in to basically put through the filter, add some distortion to your signal. There's also control voltage inputs, so you can use a foot pedal. You could send it MIDI from a sequencer to control these things. We have that for pitch, volume, filter, and keyboard gate. So that is the Moog Little Phatty. It's a limited edition. This is one of the last ones they put out. So if you get a chance to get your hands on one, I highly recommend it. It's a great way to introduce yourself to some of the Moog sounds. And if you already are way into the Moog sounds, it's a great, easy way to just get your hands in there and sort of get reacquainted with it.